Let's get brawling, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millsy, back with Hometown Commander, and we are back with Brawl on the channel. I put the poll up for you guys to vote on it. It only felt right that you picked Goreclaw Stompy as the first deck we're doing for Historic Brawl. This is a deck that I've had built for a long time on Arena, and I love updating it as new sets come out, trying out new creatures, and doing some fun things. Well, like any good mono green Stompy deck, our goal is to get our mana dorks and our lands down early, ramp into our mid-board creatures, of course get Goreclaw down as soon as Goreclaw comes down. All of our creatures with power 4 or greater cost 2 less. And then every time Goreclaw attacks, all of our creatures with power 4 or greater get +1/+1 and trample. So it enables trample and it reduces the cost. We can use things like Ronus's Monument and Nylea Keen-Eyed to reduce the cost as well. We have a bunch of mana dorks and ramp sources, and we're basically just going to try to get up into the top end, play them big boy creatures, get them sideways, and have some fun. The games today ended up all being pretty darn good, which was surprising. I feel like Historic Brawl is a big dice roll of a format. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. I hope you guys enjoy the games I have prepared. I thought the games went pretty well. A couple of the games I probably deserved to lose, and we managed to just maneuver ourselves right, but I enjoyed the games. I hope you get to see the fun that is Mono Green Stompy, and I hope to be getting you guys another Brawl video soon. Let's get to those games. Alright, let's brawl with the Claw into Kroxa. Not something I've played before, but we'll see. Hopefully not too heavy on the discard theme, as I expect that's what Kroxa would do. 4-lander, we don't see any ramp, so the question becomes, do we pitch it, try to get something like a mana dork in, or do we take the 4-lander? I'm going to take the 4-lander and just see how it goes. I like the Walled Oddity. I expect a Thoughtseize, Inquisition of Kozilek, Dead Fugue. So they missed there because they didn't pay the cleave cost. So now they know 3 creatures that are in our hand. Of course, we just got the Rex. Now they're going to force us to discard. I don't really like any of the discards here. I guess the best option is the Oddity. Vorinclex can ramp us. An Exclamation eventually ramp us. The Yorvo is great. That'll give us a turn 3 play. The interesting part here for the Kroxa is how much discard are they actually playing? Like, are they just going to start picking our hand apart, or are we going to actually have a chance to have some fun? We'll go with Yorvo. Comes down as a 4/4, and then every time you put another creature down, it gets a counter. If it has more power, it gets 2 counters. But I expect it to just get removed here, like any creature in Historic Brawl these days. Logic would dictate we put down Goreclaw next, but I don't think we do. I mean, obviously, they have a decent amount of removal so far. Do we expect them to have another piece of removal in their hand? I guess we'll get rid of the Ancient. But I also feel like now's the time where we have to try, right? I mean, we're going to get outpaced if we don't, so I feel like we have to just slam Goreclaw. It could get removed. If it gets removed, and we just slam Vorinclex and get the 2 lands. Okay, Scrapbook Mutt. Lets them loot. I'm hoping Goreclaw lives to our turn. If so, it just allows us to play the Rex instead of Vorinclex. But if they remove Goreclaw, which I expect them to, we just play Vorinclex anyway. Unholy Heat. No surprise. I think my least favorite thing about Historic Brawl as a format sometimes is there's just way too much single target removal. I think, to me, in some degrees, I like Historic Brawl for a lot of reasons. There's some really fun decks, and you get to have a good time. But the problem with trying to play any creature deck in this format is you're going to have these good stuff pile decks that are just going to run a ton of discard and removal. And so we're going to try our best to fight through it. Obviously, there goes Vorinclex to the Rampage. The only good part is we're running our opponent out of cards. The bad part is we've set them up for this Kroxa now that's going to stick around. If that's what they choose to do. My only hope is that maybe we can run them out of cards, and then that way that's all they have. You know, that's my hope. I hope that we can run them out of cards, but my worry now is, do they just You know, do they just top deck a another piece of removal, a board wipe? I mean, at this point, we're just waiting for them to find the next thing. I'd like to try to drop the Henge and the Rex. I don't think I can. 5, no, I can't. But I can drop this and the Druid. That will help because that'll get a counter, which means it'll tap for extra next turn. Alright, we can block their Kroxa if we want to. I don't really want to. I just want to block the Mutt here if I can. Try to live to fight another turn. I guess we'll... Well, the only thing with the Rejuvenation is... Right now it's for 4. Yeah, I think I gotta pitch the Rejuvenation. And we'll try to block the Mutt. I hope they don't have a trick here. If they have a trick, then we pretty much just lost. Okay. No trick. Damage spell for Goreclaw. No damage spell for Goreclaw. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes me happy. I think we dump the Rex here. We still have room for the Forerunners. If I do this, I am going to be... That does 3, 7. So I couldn't play the Forerunners and it. Is the Forerunners lethal? 11 on the Rex... And 6 on Goreclaw would be 17. The Forerunners would come down as 8, so that's 22. Goreclaw gives the flat buff up to 25. Kroxa hurts us pretty hard on the backswing. I think we have to try. The good part is this has Vigilance, so we can stay back and block. Yeah, 21, 28, so he does have to block to live, but if he blocks, he goes down to 1. He could kill Goreclaw with it, which I think I'm perfectly fine with. Again, Forerunners, Forerunners and Rex have Vigilance. I thought only Forerunners had Vigilance. So again, I don't think we mind this, mainly because now we can block... We can block this Kroxa effectively, again, unless... now, if they wipe the board, we do have Questy that has haste, so this could potentially be our end point here. Again, the goal of this deck is to ramp up like we're doing, get the Henge down, get something that can draw us cards, like a Garrick's Uprising or a Tribute to the World Tree, you know, start drawing us cards for playing creatures, and again, just trying to build our board up big enough that we can take advantage of our stuff. Here, I think I'm just going to pitch the Titan. Mainly just because if they wipe our board like I expect them to, the Questy would be a hasty lethal. So maybe that'll come into advantage here. Chandra Hope speaking. Okay, get to claim the Firstborn, which I don't think is going to do them any good. I think they just ended up whiffing on that one. Yep, and they called a good game. Yeah, I mean, that one went really well. I think we managed to play through the discard pretty darn well. And that's the kind of game you want to see with Goreclaw. Hopefully we can get around the removal and keep it moving. Let's get on to Brawlin with some Goreclaw, Mono Green Stompy. Let's have a good time. We have Kenrith, the Return King, 5 color, not the 5 color commander I see most of the time. Most of the time I run into Eska. And this is a great hand. Delighted Halfling turn 1, Druid turn 2. Gets us up into either Goreclaw or that Oddity, and then the Froghemoth will get pulled down. I like this hand. Wish we had one creature that was a little bit higher up on the mana scale, but we should be able to go turn 1 Halfling, turn 2 Druid, and then turn 3 Goreclaw, which hopefully if the Halfling can stay around would stop it from being countered, and then that would be the next turn drop both of these. So I like that. That's a good turn 4 attack with both of these and Goreclaw, which could be a pretty devastating attack. I like this. Of course, we do have the option to adapt the Druid at some later turn if we have the extra mana lying around. But I like this. I mean, this is what we want to see from a hand, at least 1 mana dork or a way to get ahead. I like the Ceratops. That's a good choice for Goreclaw being out. This can come down for 2 mana. No, it doesn't have haste, but it's just a good piece to have. We see Primeval Titan, which is going to help us even more get lands. And I'm just happy that Primetime is on Arena and is legal. Of course, Primetime is not legal in Commander. Where of course my original for this deck originated. We'll do this so Goreclaw can't get countered. although maybe our opponent probably didn't have one anyway, but we just want to try to avoid it getting countered. Of course, it can still get removed. There's nothing stopping our opponent from doing that, but as you can see, now it's dropping all of the creatures in our hand down pretty darn cheap. Again, I expect Goreclaw to get removed. We're playing a 5-color deck, and most 5-color decks tend to be good stuff decks. What I'm hoping here is we have 5 mana. We can still drop Oddity. We can still drop Froghemoth. We could still drop Ceratops. Okay, so they just drop a Roscoe. I don't think we're that afraid of that. I think we still go Oddity Froghemoth. That was our plan all along. And we hang in, swing in here for 15 with Trample. I don't expect them to block. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they really need to, unless they're planning on wiping the board somehow. I mean, that could be what they're going to plan to do. And if they do, it's okay. We are still able to get Selvala down. Although our rebuild won't be as good if they do wipe. I'm perfectly fine with Primetime. They're now dead on board, so I don't think we care at all. I mean, one attack now with... the board should be lethal, although I could flip the Oddity as well. But I think we just probably, slam our own Primetime, get what? The 2 non-basic lands I have in the deck exactly for Primetime are Nykthos and Castle Garenbrig. Those 2 should be able to help us out there. So I think we... Let's see, that would be 10 with Trample, and Roscoe would be the only blocker. So I believe this is lethal no matter what. But let's just put the Primetime down just in case. Like I said, we're going to go get exactly Nykthos and Castle Garenbrig. Those are the 2 best lands for the situation. Garenbrig can tap for more mana, Nykthos can tap for a ton of mana. And again, this attack should be lethal. Neither of them have lifelink. We now have 10 with Trample that they can... Obviously, Primetime blocks one of them. Roscoe blocks one of them. And that's 10 minus 3 should be 7 exact lethal. Unless they... I don't think they have any tricks. They don't have any mana. So we'll see. Obviously, they don't. I don't think they see it. Or they don't know they have Trample. But, all right. Got Xaxes in on there. Again, great example of hitting that ramp early and getting into it. Let's move on to the next one. Goreclaw Stompy, baby. Let's do it. Playing into the Scarab God. Not a commander I've played before in Historic Brawl. So this will be interesting. The one thing I kind of like about Goreclaw is you tend to get some different matchups from more of your high-powered commanders. We do have a decent amount of rares in the deck, but I like that we get a good mix. Interesting starting hand. We do technically have that 3rd mana with the Druid, but I don't love it. Let's try them all. And of course, a lot better. We see the Nykthos. We see the Gilded Goose. We got a good turn 1 played for the Goose. And we draw the 4th land, which is great. The Goose gets us up to 2 mana now. So unless this Goose gets removed, I say we get Forest down. Still can't do anything with the... still can't do anything with the 3rd mana. What I might do is if Gilded Goose gets back to my opponent's end step without anything happening to it, I'll probably just tap it and make the food. And then that way we can at least still retain some sort of value. Don't really see the point of blocking there. Of course, don't want to lose the Goose. But we'll make the food. That just allows us to tap Goose for on another turn. Oh, here's a good question. Do we want to get the Nylea down to help us with getting things a teeny bit cheaper? Or do we get Goreclaw out? I think I like getting Nylea down here. It is going to be indestructible. And a little bit harder to remove for our opponent. But it is going to help us get things down a teeny bit cheaper. This could potentially 3, 4, 5. This could potentially get us both. This could get us next turn both Goreclaw and Questing Beast down in the same turn, which is something I like the idea of. Get Goreclaw down. No stick there, so they don't have something like Wash Away, which is always something we want to pay attention to. And then I like the idea of getting Questy here down as well. That does turn Nylea into attacker. We'll happily attack. And then Questy cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So we're going to obviously get in with Questy there as well. And now Questy's a great blocker because it has Death Touch. That's pretty great. The other nice thing about Questing Beast is, of course, damage can't be prevented. Not a big thing here in Arena that I've seen more often than not. But I think now we are at risk of getting a board wipe situation here. Thankfully, we still have the 5th mana here, so we'd still be able to do some other things. Devotee. Okay, so they all have Death Touch, which makes me pretty much not want to block. Yes, they get more 2/2s, but I think I'm okay with that because Goreclaw is going to start giving all of our creatures trample. Now, I believe the Death Touch was only on attack, right? Whenever an equipped creature attacks or blocks, but of course it's not up to block. Let's think about this. That's going in for 5. I'd say let's get the Selvala down. Because then when I play this Carney T, we should draw a card, which is beneficial. We'll happily take that extra card. I think I'm gonna Blizzard Brawl here. Let's get rid of the Augur. I just realized I never read that Augur's effect, so I'm glad that didn't blow up in my face. And I think we swing. We're looking at 6, 11, 16 with trample. So they do have to block. They cannot block Questy. Oh, they're 3/2s now, so they can block Questy. But that's okay. I think we're content with that. Take out some of the tokens, hit them for a bunch of damage. They need the board wipe here, which is more than possible. If they do have it, we do have the Explore mana to get something extra. I don't know why they oopsed there. It's kind of interesting. I was going to say, Carney T having Hexproof kind of protects it, and then we're definitely there on the pan. Goreclaw's doing well tonight. It makes me kind of worried that we hit a bad game, but let's go on, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Couple good games in a row and no bricks. Let's keep the Stompy train rolling into Narset Enlightened Exile. A fun commander in her own right. I'm intrigued to see how this matchup goes. I like the opening hand. We have a couple mana dorks. We have the Sword Tooth. We have the Kogla. I like it. Not a bad hand. We can get to 4 pretty easily for Goreclaw. And we have some protection in case one of our mana dorks gets knocked out. Selvala, of course, is a great mana dork in its own right, but it can be a little bit tough since you do have to pay money. You do have to pay mana into it to get something out of it. Let's see, do we have some removal here? I expect some removal at some point. Oh, just bounce back to our hand. I think we're okay with that. It kind of makes me wonder if we just go Sword Tooth here instead of Selvala, get the extra land play. But I guess it could get removed. Let's try Selvala here. I'm intrigued to see. I'm feeling a counterspell is going to be here eventually. We're playing against a blue deck. Let's see what we have. I mean, it put a stop, so I mean they have to have a counterspell of some sort. I doubt that it stops if they don't. Nope, just Faithful Mending for some draw. Okay, I think we take that. They're out of Wash Away. I guess we'd still have Spell Pierce or something like that. You know, those 1 mana creature counters. But I think I'm okay with that. We stick the Selvala. Of course, we still aren't outside of removal range, so they Plowshare it. I'm not opposed to that. I mean, it stinks, but it's a Plowshare that's not going towards something else, so I think we'll take it. Let's see. I think a great scenario would be, I was going to say, would be a land so that we can Sword Tooth, play an extra land, get the Carelidded down here if it doesn't get countered. And now we're walking the next turn with 6 mana from the Garen Brig and 8 mana total. So that can get us, what, Goreclaw into Kogla, but I don't think that's as good as we want it to be. All right, let's run Goreclaw out. I expect this to be where this is going to potentially get countered. Why didn't it? It did not go 6 into the Garen Brig, so great. So that's something we'll have to pay attention to in future turns, that it didn't just automatically take the 6 green mana there. 6, 7, 8. Okay, countering Goreclaw, bouncing Sword Tooth back to our hand. Obviously, we're going to put Goreclaw back in the command zone, and we'll just drop that Sword Tooth back down. Okay, well, we expected Goreclaw to get countered eventually. I didn't think that we were going to have something not countered eventually. It's just the truth when you're playing against blue decks in this format that eventually you're going to get Wash Away or something's going to get countered. 6 mana scares me, and I guess this is Farewell or a board wipe mana, but I guess the question becomes, do they really care about it right now? It seems like a good turn to play that Spell Spear and then maybe Narset. Although they don't know what I'm going to play. Dry Erase Channeler, okay. And this is great because then when they cast those spells, they can surveil, get things into their graveyard. Here I really just want to drop either Kogla or Thorn Mammoth, but I think it makes... Let's see, if I do this, I can get Ronus down for free, and I think I'm going to try it. Again, they could have another counter. I mean, they have one card in hand. They've already used the Brazen Borrower. They can do this Faithful Mending, which could be what's holding up the trigger. But I think my goal is here, get the Goreclaw down, get the Ronus down, and try to see if we can live to fight another day. 5, 6, 7, 8. This would turn on Wayward Swordtooth to attack, which I think we kind of want to do. I don't see any of their blocks being super good in their own right. So I think we'll move to attack with Swordtooth, see if we can get them to take a block. I mean, they probably shouldn't in the grand scheme of things. They probably should just take the hit, because this has prowess, which is going to get good with their deck. And if they can flip that thing over, it gets even better. And then the channeler is going to start feeding their graveyard for Narset. But I think what we exactly want to happen is them get Narset down on here if we can. If we can do that, what that'll end up doing is allow us to Thorn Mammoth and take out Narset and potentially another creature. But we'll see what we can maneuver here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana, so we can Thorn Mammoth and Kogla if need be. Well, my hope there is to take out Narset and another creature. Potentially, if they flip this Kenrith over, we could take that out as well. Does it have a ward on the backside? Does it have ward 2 on the backside? So we got to be careful of that. All right, Narset for 4 doesn't have haste, but they do have that escape velocity to give it haste. We do have a block for it, though, in the Ronus. So what are they going to try to get? It would be a 4. They could get the Plowshares. They could get the Iteration. They could get the Faithful Mending. They could get the Prismari Command. I would imagine they'd want the Sword to Plowshares. Oh, lots of triggers. Because the Plowshares would make the most sense, right? To get rid of Ronus. Because it is on an attack trigger, unfortunately. There's no way for me to get around that. You know, once they attack, they could cast that Plowshares. And that's probably what they should do to get rid of the Ronus, because otherwise the Ronus is a free block. Yep. That's what they do, and this is probably just going to get out of hand at this point. Let me think. Channeler is a 3/3. I could take it out. I just don't really see the point. I could double block Narset. Don't think that does me any good either. I could still... Well, let's think about this. I could still, next turn, that'd be, what? 6, 7 mana? If I don't block, I'm taking 11, 14, 20. I can get rid of Narset and this, since they didn't flip it, going on double creatures, and just hope we go from there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It's a pretty risky play, but they're completely tapped out. I have lots of mana, so that's what we're going to do. We'll get the Thorn Mammoth down. This is going to fight the Narset. Ooh, I just realized on the Kogla cast, Thorn Mammoth gets to fight again. So let's take advantage of that. Kogla is going to come down and fight the Spell Spear, and Thorn Mammoth is going to fight the Channeler. And they scoop it up. Yeah, I mean, my hope was there is maybe we could take enough things off their board so that they couldn't rebuild and hit us again. But man, we took a massive hit that turn. And I was kind of worried that they were going to, you know, have something in their graveyard that I didn't see them discard. But we managed to pull it out. Again, just mono green, go tall, delivers us again, gives us a good game. And I'm kind of scared now, 3 or 4 wins in a row, that we're going to get a bad game. But let's move on to the next one. All right, a couple good games in a row with Stompy. Let's keep it rocking into Imoti. This is kind of one of those games I figured we'd get eventually. Imoti is running around Historic Brawl, and it is a tough deck. And this opening hand does not give me any hope. Let's give it a quick mull, and that's perfect. We have the Utopia Sprawl turn 1. We have the Carolided turn 2, which can get us into Goreclaw even quicker. The key for this matchup is going to be trying to get a board as quickly as we can, because Imoti, once Imoti starts getting down and our opponent starts cascading, we are going to be in a lot of trouble. So let's get the Carolided down here. Next turn, we could ideally Goreclaw into Ronus, which I don't think would be a bad play. I think I like it. Goreclaw into Ronus here, since Ronus gets that reduction. And I think we just say next. We're in a good spot with the Ashaya, which is going to help make all of our creatures into lands. This could potentially help us get around the impending, cyclonic rifts, that kind of thing. I think I'm going to hit the Defiler here first, just because I can then pay the life for this Ashaya and get a counter on everything, which is what I think I want to do. Let's see. I think I just attack with the Ronus here. I don't want to really give up Goreclaw, especially into that Sereth, which is gonna. Oh, it doesn't have Death Touch. Eek. I thought it when it was when it had Death Touch when it was untapped. It's not. It's when it's tapped it has Death Touch. Okay. Unfortunately, I missed an attack there that might have been really good. But the good part is depending on what they pull off this Cascade trigger, we're in really good shape. I think we're fine with that. I mean, we've probably gotten the good we were going to get from this, and now they're still facing into a horrific attack. We'll put the Haven down on this forest, I guess. I'm going to give this Ronus trigger to Keralitid, because this brings it up to 4 to get the to get Goreclaw's buff, and this should be lethal on board since everything gets trample. I don't know if our opponent realizes it or not. 17, 23, 29, 34 with trample because of Goreclaw. Yep, and there we go. Whew. We are on a roll tonight, and I am loving it. Of course, this is a deck. Of course, I haven't, deck I've played for a long time in Commander, and I love mono green. I love the mono green Stompy playstyle, but I'm loving it tonight. We're getting good games, and I like showing the deck off and doing what it's supposed to be doing. But let's rock into another one. All right, the Stompy train is rolling, and we're going into Kellan. I've not played Kellan yet in Historic Brawl, so I'm excited about this one. Kellan, of course, a pretty fun commander. We have the turn 2 into the north, turn 3 cultivate, turn 3 cultivate, or we could get down Goreclaw if we want to, depending on the situation. I kind of like ramping again just to try to protect that Goreclaw if need be. Let's do the into north here. I'm kind of thinking about getting. So then to north, we can get a Snowland. I'm kind of thinking about taking this Faceless Haven, just so we have access to it. Of course, Faceless Haven can turn into a creature for 3 snow mana, so that does give us that option. But I think I'm just going to stick onto the ramp game here. I don't see any reason to kind of get out. Okay. So they reprieve it back to our hand, which I guess is what it is. Not much I can do about that. We see a Scarab and a SRAM. Okay. So if I cultivate, I guess we'll just cultivate again. I kind of would like to try to see if I can get a scenario where we can get Goreclaw down and have that ram through up. But what this should allow us to do now next turn is Goreclaw into Ashaya, which isn't a bad play for one turn. Sort of Fire and Ice, so they didn't have enough to equip it. That gives me hope. The Haven, does it give me the same result? 4 for Goreclaw. I don't think they can do the Haven. But let's do this, and then we'll get a Shia down. Shia's going to be pretty big on its own, being a 9/9. Swords to Plowshares is perfectly fine. That's going to help keep us afloat for an extra turn or two. It kind of stinks. I would have loved having that Ashaya out there because it's just going to get bigger and bigger. But now they have to hit us for more life. Lizard's Blades is a pretty good one there. The good thing about SRAM, especially in this deck, is it's drawing them cards. Fire and Ice, pro red and blue, so we can still block it. Do we block it? If we don't block it, it deals 2 damage to us and they draw a card. I think I'm willing to let it go because I can ram through it. Oh, do they have the spell? That kind of sucks. Yeah, so I guess technically I probably could have just blocked it at that point anyway, but we could still get the Faceless Haven up for the ram through, which I guess is my option at this point. It's ram through the SRAM. This is gonna. I guess they have the Skrelv. But hey, it forces them to use the Skrelv. Oh, so this is interesting. They're going to pick green, but it's not the green that's dealing the damage here. I was going to say it's the Faceless Haven that's dealing the damage. So that worked out really well in our favor, getting us around the protection, because it's not the Ram through that's dealing the damage, it's the actual Faceless Haven. But okay, now they get it on the Skrelv. We need a draw here. I mean, obviously we can replay Goreclaw, but we really need to draw into a creature, otherwise I think our game is about over. We're getting hit for 3, 4, 5. And then 2 more because of the sword. No Kellan yet. Okay, well that is certainly good. Let's see. This, the Oddity. I'll slam in with the Oddity because we can actually get some things out of their graveyard. Oh, no, sorry. I was thinking of Froghemoth to get things out of their graveyard. Oh, boy. This one might be over. Yep, Rip Apart's probably going to do it. I mean, I can't think of many cards off the top of my library that are going to save me here. They're going to be able to out-damage me now every turn. 5 and then 2 with the Sword of Fire Ice right now on board. So 5, 6, now 8 with the Sword ability. Yeah, I can't think of much that saves me on this one. I mean, the Garenberg helps get Goreclaw back down, but other than that, I think we power this up. I just realized we probably should have powered that up to block, since we could have blocked this. Oh well, I think we lost this one, unfortunately. That probably was my mistake. We should have left this up to block the Frodo, because that could still be blocked at the moment. Oh, the Skyclave certainly makes it worse. Still only has first strikes, that's 6, 8. Six, 7, 8, 7. We can block one of it, and then 9 right now because of that Sword of Fire and Ice. If they can pull anything else out here, they obviously have us at lethal. Obviously, we can't block the Frodo. So if they have anything else to power this up. Okay, they just attack with the Frodo and Lizard's Blades. Oh, they can't with the Blades because of the protections. They forgot about that. It gives us a turn. I mean, 15 with Trample because of 15 with Trample with Faceless Haven. Do they have any removal is going to become the question. Can I flip the Ulvenwald? We'll flip the Ulvenwald just for the extra damage. And I mean, if they literally have anything here, we're dead. But they have to block here. They don't have anything with lifelink, and they don't have any giving Scroll protection. We get it. Wow. Eek. That just shows you how good Faceless Haven can be in a deck like this where we're playing off Snowlands. But wow, loved that one, and didn't expect to get all wins with Goreclaw tonight. But let's roll Stompy into the next one. Rocco Street Chef. Shout out to my boy Andrew with his Rocco Street Chef commander deck. Love playing against that. Turn 2, Kerlitid or Explore, and that should get us into some good stuff. I don't mind this one. It's a decent hand. We got the ramp, we got the Craterhoof, we got the Henge on the top end. I love Sword Tooth. It is going to kind of stink because it's going to take us a few turns to be able to attack with it. But the cool part is if we play it after Goreclaw, it's only going to get dropped down to 1 mana. So I don't mind it. I think if I draw land here, we explore. I think we just Kerlitid. This can allow us to cultivate next turn, which is, I think, what we need to do. Is a world where we play Explore. I don't think so. I think we're just going to... I think we just cultivate here because Sword Tooth doesn't actually do us any good here. It can't block and it can't attack, right? I mean, obviously, there's nothing it can do. We didn't play that land for a turn, so we get to at least play that. Now we're up to 5. I do like the idea of Goreclaw into Sword Tooth on our next turn. Tyler's Provisioner there is going to probably get them a food, I'd imagine, or a food and a treasure. 2 mana, so we are in range of removal onto Goreclaw or that Sword Tooth, but I think we want to try. Get Goreclaw down first, that'll turn Carelitted into 2 mana. But I think we still play the Sword Tooth. Again, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're a couple permanents off. Might as well try the shot at the Explorer, see if we can draw into a land. Worst case scenario, we just get something else. And we'll pass it. No instant speed removal there. I like the Blizzard Brawl. It's going to potentially work well on our turn. We do have 3 snow lands, so it's going to work well. The good part about Sword Tooth is just because it's can attack doesn't mean that we still can't use it to do that. I forgot their food's tapped for green now, so that does unfortunately hurt us just a little bit. Peregrine can sack those 3 foods to draw a card. I think on our turn we're going to look to get the Henge down. Or do we Crater Hoof? Well, Crater Hoof, even if we Crater Hoof, we can't attack with Sword Tooth because we'd only be at 9 permanents. So we do need to be slightly careful. If I do this first, I still can't get the Crater Hoof down. Can I Crater Hoof and... I can Crater Hoof and Line of Our Elves. That's 5. That would be 11, 10, and 10, which would be 30, 33 with Trample. And they have enough blockers, but it would come down to them... it would come down to them being able to block it. So let's do it. They're going to have to take the blocks anyway, so let's find out. 22, 32 with Trample. They have 3, 5, 9, 12. So only 20 getting through if they all choose to block. I like taking the Took out first. I like taking the Provisioner out first and then the Scurry Oak. Try to get those things off the board. We'll put Goreclaw back in the command zone. The cool part about the Rejuve, if we want to play it, is we do have an 8-mana creature. Tireless Tracker. I'm not sure what they're looking for. I'm feeling it's probably, again, just lethal on board. Sword Tooth will be able to attack on our turn. No reason to block there. So they're getting more foods. I think the plan for them, what, right? Oh, okay, plan to draw. I was going to say, is their plan to try to eat some food to stay alive? But I don't think they can. Obviously, they're just searching. Up to 4. I was going to say we can then Blizzard Brawl and then put the Beast down. But man, Goreclaw is killing it tonight. I was so worried that we wouldn't get enough good gameplay for you guys of Goreclaw. But we are getting some banging gameplay tonight. I'm excited. And let's move on to the next one. Let's get brawling with some Goreclaw Stompy, baby, into Kambal, Console of Allocation. Not a commander I've played in Historic Brawl, so I'm intrigued to see what their deck is going to do. Kami can get down the land turn 1, which could get us up to 3 mana. Don't have that 4th mana, though. I could also conjure it if I want to, but I think it makes more sense to get the mana down. Let's try it. I mean, we've had a lot of really good games tonight, and I'm willing to see where this one leads us. So, turn 1 Kami. We're going to put this Nykthos in tapped. Nykthos will help us out on future turns. Not going to do very good the first couple turns, just due to the fact that our devotion is only at 1 at the moment. We do have the Tameo and the Royal Treatment to protect this Kami, the Bamboo Groves, not that I want to. Hoping for a land, don't see one. So this is kind of killer. I'm going to try to attack. If they block with the Ornithopter, I'll just use the Royal Treatment to get it up to 2. And they choose not to. Makes sense. All right, we really need the land here for Goreclaw. If we don't, we're probably going to be in a world of hurt. They do have the white for Kambal, so we could see Kambal come out here. They could have some removal. Oh, got an inheritance. Okay, I think we're content with that. We're going to end up losing some. Okay, yep, that's perfect. Ronus's Monument will help. That's going to allow us to get out Goreclaw next turn. All right, so they're gonna lose. We're gonna lose one, and they're gonna gain one each of their turns. They can still get out the Kambal here. It'll respond in turn. Hopefully, respond in turn with just dumping Goreclaw onto the battlefield. Nope, Guardian Idol. Okay, so they're obviously setting up. I still like the idea of Goreclawing here, but is there a world where we don't? No. I think we just dump Goreclaw, we'll give Bamboo the buff, and go swinging in. Anything we can do to get some damage since they're hitting up all this life gain. The only bad part now is I can't protect Goreclaw. I mean, this is a deck that is probably going to have some sort of... Sacrifices a creature, planeswalker. If they can't, they lose 5 life. And there's no way not to. Okay, we'll just get rid of the Bamboo then. Alright, I think I'm going to into the north. I don't really have a choice at this point. I need another land. Unfortunately, it comes in tapped, and we are... Yeah, I think Goreclaw is just dead here, isn't it? So we might as well get in for the damage. Goreclaw is going to die to this cruel reality. So I don't really see a good option here. Man, this kind of stinks, but I mean, this is what we expected probably to happen. We're at 4 mana. Sacrifices the... Yep, nothing I can do there. Put it back in the command zone. I mean, on my turn, I don't really see any good options unless we draw into something. I think we're probably just going to be dead on board here. Losing 5 life to the reality. And we don't hit anything. Well, this is probably game unless this next turn we can draw anything of relevance. We preferably want it to not be a creature. Ooh, Obsidian's bad. Okay. Lose 2, they gain 2. And I think, unfortunately, we're dead. Well, my string of good games with Goreclaw tonight ends with a game into a brutal white-black deck that we just did not get the right hand to. I kept a pretty safe hand, and clearly that was the end of me. That is going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let's Get Brawlin with Goreclaw, and I will catch you guys in the next one.